Alright, this is Unit 7, Lesson 13. Your learning target today is I can solve one-step and two-step equations. We're going to start with a quick review, looking at some problems. If I have 80 divided by 10 minus 2, remember our saying PEMDAS. Okay, this is the order that you work in. You go from top to bottom. The top stands for parentheses. So I do anything in parentheses first. So I'm going to start with 10 minus 2, which is 8. Then I drop down everything else and rewrite it. So now I have 80 divided by 8, which equals 10. So 80 divided by 10 minus 2 equals 10. Alright, if I have the problem 200 plus 6 times 14, and this is in parentheses. So I do 200 plus 6, which is 206. Then I drop this part down, so I have 206 times 14. So I need to rewrite that. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, erase that. Starting here, 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 0 is 0. And 1 times 2 is 2. Add. And I get 2,884. So my answer is 2,884 for 200 plus 6 times 14. Alright, so let's look at one more example. If I have the numbers 5 plus 2 minus 4 minus 2. Okay, when you have two sets of parentheses, you still follow these rules. So I still have to do both parentheses first. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 4 minus 2 is 2. I bring down my subtraction sign. So now I have 7 minus 2 equals 5. So if you have two sets of parentheses, make sure you solve for both before you combine them. Alright, let's look at page 315. This is very similar to what we said yesterday, so you're solving for a letter. Alright, so before we begin, I just want to remind you that we're working with inverse operations. So if I have addition, the opposite of that would be subtraction. Or if I have multiply, the opposite of that would be to divide. Same thing, it goes backwards. If I have subtract, then I add. If I have divide, then I multiply. They go both ways. These are called inverse operations. They undo each other. For example, if I had 2 times 3 equals 6, okay, that's a multiplying. So to undo that, I would divide. So I'd say 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Same numbers, they undo each other. The same thing works for 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Or 3 times 2 equals 6. Alright, so when we look at number 1, we have m minus 1 equals 9. I also know that the inverse operation of subtracting is adding. So 9 plus 1 would be 10. So let's check. Is 10 minus 1 equal to 9? Yes, so then m equals 10. I can check that by erasing this and putting 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. What plus 4 equals 13? Okay, I have adding. The opposite of adding is subtracting. So if I do 13 minus 4, I get 9. So is 9 plus 4 13? Yep, so V equals 9. Alright, next we have a division. What divided by 5 equals 10? What divided by 5 equals 10? So I have division. Opposite of division is to multiply. So 10 times 5 equals 50. Is 50 divided by 5 equal to 10? Yes, so then C equals 50. Alright, go ahead and work on 4 through 9 on your own. Pause the video. When you finish number 9, come back to the video for number 10. For 10, 11, and 11, we're going to read a word problem and choose which of these problems explains or shows how the problem is written. So the cost of an item is $9.50, not including tax. The cost of the item including tax is $10.07. So the cost with tax is $10.07. So that tells me that's going to be the total. I can see that down here. Which equation below can be used to find the total amount of tax? So, are we adding tax? Are we taking the tax and subtracting? Or are we multiplying tax? Well, I know that we're adding the tax on, so that would mean adding tax, adding T. So, letter C is my best representation of that problem. Number 11, Caesar earns $8 for mowing a lawn. Last week he earned $32 mowing lawns. Which equation below can be used to find the number of lawns he mowed last week? So he earns $8 for each lawn. That's my keyword, each lawn. Okay, each one is $8. He earned 32. That's my total. Total 32. How can you find the number of lawns? So I know that $8 times the number of lawns he mowed equals 32. Now, I don't see that number represented below. So how else could I see that? Well, I know 32 divided by 8 will also tell me the number. So I do see that right here for letter B. Alright, and we're going to skip number 12. So you need to raise your hand. You need to receive a star for numbers 4 through 9, which should already be completed. And then we're moving on to page 316. This time you are going to have a couple steps. You're still going to try and figure out what the missing letter is, but you're going to have to do more than one step. Alright, before we begin this page, I'm just going to review a couple things. So if we have 4n equals 20, this 4n really means 4 times n, but we can write that as just 4n. So if I was trying to figure out what n is, then I know 4 times 5 equals 20, or 4n equals 20, so n is equal to 5. I also can figure that out because 4n equals 20. If I were to divide both sides by 4, 20 divided by 4 is 5, so n equals 5. That's our inverse operation because this is a multiplying, so I did dividing. So if we were to look at that same problem but add 4n plus 4, we're adding a new element, equals 20. Now I have two different operations. I have both multiplication, because there's an invisible multiplying sign in there, and addition. I have multiplying and adding. So the opposite of multiplying would be dividing, and the opposite of adding would be subtracting. So one way to solve this is to subtract first. So I have subtract 4. If I subtract here, then I'm going to subtract over here. So now I have 4n equals 16 because I did the inverse operation. And you're going to do it to both sides because whatever you do over here, you do it to that side. So now I have my invisible multiplying sign. So the opposite of multiplying would be to divide. So if I divide by 4 and divide by 4, I know 16 divided by 4 is 4. So then that would mean n equals 4. Now I'm always going to double check. So let's go back up here and plug it in. So I have 4 times 4 plus 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 plus 4 is equal to 20. So I got the same answer. So I know n equals 4. Alright, so if we go back to our page here, I have 2n plus 1. I'm going to rewrite that on another page. 2n plus 1 equals 9. So I have adding and multiplying. Remember, there's a little invisible multiplying sign in there. So I subtract 1, because that's the inverse operation. So I have 2n equals 9 minus 1 is 8. Then I'm going to divide by 2, and I get 8 divided by 2 is 4, so n equals 4. So I go back to my sheet, I know n equals 4. Now I can plug that in. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Alright, let's look at number 14. C divided by 2 plus 3 equals 4. So I'm automatically going to start with the inverse operation, so that's subtract 3. So now I have C divided by 2 equals 1. Now opposite of dividing would be to multiply 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, so C equals 2. Let's check. C, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. So yep, C is 2. Okay, let's try one more. We have 4h minus 2 equals 22. Opposite of subtracting is to add 2. Add 2. I have 24. So I have 4h equals 24. Again, there's an invisible multiplying sign, so now I'm going to divide by 4. Divide by 4. So I have h equals 24 divided by 4, which is 6. Okay, let's keep going. Number 16, we have 8 divided by z plus 7 equals 1. Okay, so I have z plus 7, so I'm going to, and I have 8 divided. So 8 divided by something equals 1. Well, there's another way that we can solve these. So 8 divided by what equals 1? Well, I know that 8 divided by 8 equals 1. So how can I get this parentheses to equal 8? Well, I know that would need to be a 1. So I know that z is going to equal 1 because 1 plus 7 is 8, and I know that 8 divided by 8 is equal to 1. Alright, go ahead and see if you can do 17 through 21 on your own. Then come back to the video. And we are going to skip actually through these. So you're just going to get a star for 17 through 21, and then we're going to move on to your homework. Your homework, you are doing all on the front page. And we are also going to do all on the second page, so you're doing all on both pages today.